If you own a restaurant, you know right now, food cost has never been more out of control. Margins are insane. The cost of everything is increasing, and getting by has never been harder. You're not alone in this. We deal with it too. Food cost is a massive issue because we have to hit revenue. We have to be a healthy business. Suppliers, wasted inventory, and truly giving the customer the best experience possible while not getting it so insane on price that you lose them is a massive concern. But here's the truth. A lot of owners focus on the wrong things when it comes to fixing food cost. So right now, I'm gonna show you ways you're gonna cut food cost without sacrificing quality, without sacrificing the customer experience on your terms. Hi, I'm Mike Bausch. I own Andalini's Worldwide. This is one of those restaurants, along with the Unsliced Restaurant System, where I take active, independent owners and up-level them to give them the unfair advantage they should have had the whole time. And before I dive in, if you're serious about up-leveling, there's a link in the description to book a deep dive restaurant review call. It's free, and we'll get going with your brand and see what you got doing, see if we can help you. Number one thing that restaurant owners are screwing up, by and large, that I'm seeing, is they ignore the real cash implications of what their food cost is. Stop doing that. What I mean is this. You can have your point of sale tell you the most glorious numbers. You can track invoices and theoretically you're like, oh my God, this reduced price, we're killing it. What came out of your bank versus went into your bank? I'm talking real cash. Until you know real cash numbers, you don't know your food cost. Your food cost is based upon real cash, not the theoretical data. Because if a data is giving you a false data point, it's a worthless data point. You have to know, again, how much actual cash pulled out weekly from your vendors, and then how much you got from your sales to know your real food cost. Until you got that, you don't know. You don't know, and you're flying blind. The equation that you have to be aware of is, of course, your prime cost. This is well-worn territory, but it's always worth restating. Labor plus food cost combined must equal prime under 60%. 60% real cash. Now, that's labor. We can talk about that later. Your food costs can be above 30% if your labor is under 30%. If both of them combined are under 60, you have the workings of a healthy business. The workings. It's not enough, it's not all, but you have the at least workings of it. If you're above 60 and you don't own your building, you're screwing this up. So be aware. Now, if you're like, I think we're kind of near the thing, but I don't know. No. You gotta know from a real cash perspective how much you made, how much you spent on a real data point level, because it's what left you in cash. The way you're gonna do this is by having an invoice tracker connected to a 13-month P&L. An invoice tracker, not crazy, it's just gonna say, hey, on Monday, we took in produce from this company. And on Tuesday, we took in our first delivery of products from supplier number 3. And on Thursday, you're just gonna have those numbers so you have this aggregate. You then analyze the invoice. If you have multiple stores, you have to have some way of aggregating these invoices to make sure that the prices are either staying stagnant, if they're scaling, you know why, and the worst offender, store 1 gets some item at X cost, store 2 gets the item at a different cost. Insanity happens all the time. If you're not using an invoice tracker, you are going to lose out on potential savings via food cost. Additional to that though, once you know what your invoices are and you've tied them all together, you then need to put them into a weekly report that you manage, that you run, that you control. The best way to do this is either on Google Sheets or Excel. That has to come into a 13-month profit and loss. Profit and loss is not what you get from your accountant in QuickBooks. QuickBooks is hot garbage for an operator. Great for the tax man, garbage for you. Excel has to be what you live off of, or some type of spreadsheet. What I mean with a 13-month P&L is that January and February are vastly different months. How many Fridays in January versus how many in February? A different amount. Therefore, vastly different end result. With a 13-month, you have a 28-day period, again, 4 7-day periods versus another 4 7-day periods. So instead of January versus February, you have month 1 versus month 2. 13 total months in a year. When you know that, tied to your invoices, tied to your food costs, now you know what you're doing and trending over time, assuming this is tied to actual cash. Without that, your metrics, your awareness, it's just hope. Number two, in the way you are going to get your food costs correct is the partner pariah modality, i.e. your vendors are either partners or pariahs. They're either sucking the lifeblood off you or they're in this with you. Now, if you think all your vendors are pariahs, you're either one, in a very bad situation, or two, you're not giving anything to them, so they don't regard you as a partner. So they're not acting like a partner. If you pay late, if you're always complaining, they're like, this guy is a pain in the ass. You gotta be awesome. You gotta pay on time, be welcoming, give them some food when they show up, be on their team so they're on your team. Assuming you have that, now and only then can you apply ask strategy. Hey, is this the best price we can get on this? Oh, I mean, we have a better price for those guys, but they have like 10 units. What can I do to get to that? Because could I lock in a deal for like a few months to be able to get to that? Because I mean, obviously you guys still make money if you charge it for them at that rate. This is ask strategy. You need to be first a partner, then you can apply ask strategy. When you have ask strategy in the mix, you can then seek out a proper partner who will become your prime vendor. Until you find this partner, your ass is dating. You're going out, you're to the club with all the vendors. Like, hey baby, come on down. Let's see what you got. Keep in mind, any vendor can be great on the first date. Oh yeah, we'll get you all that, the cheapest price possible. And they're basically gonna price it with no profit. And then they're gonna incrementally step it up. You gotta say, hey, I want someone for the long haul. Give me the real ass price that's gonna be today, 3 months, a year from now. I know it'll slightly fluctuate, but I don't want any big jumps. You got it? Because if you got a big jump, we're not gonna be partners. When you find someone that is ethically sound, you need to go all in. All in. I say that with a caveat. I'm saying 95% all in. You need someone that you're like, hey, we got a deal. You have right of first refusal on everything we buy. I'm doing all my business with you. We're talking rebates. We're talking all the things I need when everything goes sideways. You're my guy. But I'm still gonna keep a side piece, okay? I'm still gonna have a comparable. That comparable could be Sam's Club, Restaurant Depot, could be the next guy, the next vendor, in the sense that you still need to know, hey, if I run out of a prime item, I need to have a backup. Additionally, I'm still gonna check their stuff, because if you go way up on beef this week and they stay the same, I'm gonna be like, hey, what's going on that you're this? And then here's the next important thing about this relationship. When you have this relationship, you now have to apply an ethical right of first refusal. The ethical right of first refusal. I don't want you to then go to this other vendor who has beef cheaper that week and be like, okay, great, we'll buy it from you. And then next week, okay, great, we'll buy it from you. That's dumb. You get hurt in the long run. The ethical right of first refusal is to go to the first vendor, your prime vendor, and say, hey, they're way cheaper this week. Do you know what's going on? I don't know. I mean, can you get to that? Or well, we could get in the range, but we can't beat it. All right, fine. I'll stick with you on it, but let's work on it, as opposed to just bouncing, because then you're not being a partner. You want to say, hey, I really need this at that price. Let's say it's one of your biggest items and they're vastly different. Oh, well, there's no way. They just have a really great deal on that. All right, well, until you can get that in that range, that's worth like hundreds of dollars. I gotta go over there. I mean, I'm sure you understand. Yeah, I get it. You gotta go. We just can't beat that. That is the ethical way of going to your comparable 5% vendor and getting this. Now, if that 5% vendor does this for several items consistently over time, maybe that comparable vendor becomes your prime vendor. Hopefully, the prime vendor respects the relationship enough, has the buying power, has the awareness in the space. They have the space to get in the ballpark on everything. They won't beat everything, but they can get on the ballpark. And if you know they're doing right by you when they try, they should stay your prime vendor. With your prime vendor, there will be times where it might just be locking in the deal for an extended period of time. Additionally, you might be able to get better pricing by negotiating a bulk order. Now, this could just just be buying a lot all at once and you store it. Sometimes when you're a single unit, that's your best bet. It's cheaper to get a storage unit, buy pallets of product, hold it, assuming it's shelf stable, and there is where you will get your food cost savings. It's more of a pain in the ass, but on certain items, it can and will be worth it. If you're brand new and you're opening a restaurant or you're relatively new, you should evaluate all the vendors in the space often. The one who's the smoothest talker is probably not your friend. It's like, hey, let's go out to the game, let's hang out. That guy knows how to play the game. Watch out. You want the person that shows up, willing to help out, has a life, dedicated, probably worked a restaurant, not someone who's super salesy, someone who's just salesy enough. So call the 3 suppliers and start negotiating and start building relationships. Now, the next thing causes most restaurants to drastically lose in the food cost game, and it has nothing to do with suppliers. Before I get to that though, again, if you want us to figure this out with you and see what you got going, book the restaurant review call below. We'll see what you got and we'll see if we can get you that money back. The way you are going to significantly cut down your food cost is with the portion game. I say the game because it is a constant struggle, a constant strategy. It's not something that you set and forget. If you think it should be easy, you're wrong, and it's probably not been easy. But I'm going to tell you the things that you could do today to make it easier on yourself and get you paid. When you see how much money you could be getting here, you're going to change it up. And I get it. It doesn't feel like a lot, but this is incremental sand over time, turning into little droplets that become a whole desert. It is important. This is where you are losing, or it could be where you're winning. So in the portion game, the first thing is a scale. You need a scale, but what type of scale? Gram scale. Gram scale, digital. This has to be part of your flow. Now, if you're thinking, I can't stop to measure stuff on the line, I agree. You probably can't. Certainly not on a gram level. That's why the next tip is the most important in all these, which is the pre-prepped bag of those items that are gram worthy. So think of something that has a high cost. Cheese, very expensive. Certain meats, very expensive. If you don't weigh it to the gram and pre-portion it in some type of sandwich flip baggie that costs less than a penny, you're screwing up, because certain people are going to weigh it heavier. And then some kitchen people are going to just do it lighter. So you got 2 problems now. 1, you have waste. 2, you have inconsistency, which is going to hurt you over time. When you pre-prep in the bag, you might be thinking, I got so much to prep already. How can I possibly? This is the most important prep thing you could ever do. It might not feel necessary because you think you could just do it in the rush, and that is why you're losing money. You got to do it at 2 o'clock in a boring ass time. Dedicate time to it. And here's the other thing. This actually makes your speed of service significantly quicker when it's boom, pop it. It's not, okay, hold on. You take all that out. Imagine, especially like cheese on a pizza line, just as an example, this applies to everything, but instead of someone, hold on, let me get the bowl, weigh it and dump it, and then the next person, what if you could just pull out 5 bags, your bag, your bag, your bag, your bag, your bag, and everyone's putting cheese on their pizza simultaneously. You have just made the speed significantly quicker, and you know that each person isn't hopefully weighing, hopefully portioning correctly. It's a fact to fact, and you're gonna see your food costs just plummet when you do it that way, and it'll be worth every ounce of prep. Once you have that, you need to be aware that it's consistently happening, and especially if you have multiple stores, and even if you don't, your ass needs cameras. Cameras on the prep, cameras on the line. Are they doing this the right way? You got to do a spot audit. You or someone else or someone off site, because again, this is cloud-based, has to look on camera, speed it up and say, did they do this? Did they use the scale? Did they use the portion cups? Did they use the prep baggies? If they know you're checking, they're gonna do it. If they know you're not, then here's what happens. The last and most dangerous thing in your restaurant, which is the path of least resistance. You define the path of least resistance. If the path of least resistance is, I better do this right or I'm gonna get called out, then they do it. If the path of least resistance is, just get by, we gotta move, come on, just do whatever, just let's go, then that becomes the path of least resistance. You, as the owner, need to not worry about all the dumbass things that you might be considering are super important, because this is more than important, it's essential. And we can't let what's important become victim to what's essential. And spot audits of your line, of your prep, of your portioning is essential to your food cost goals. Number 4, that's gonna determine winning versus losing here is menu engineering. Now, this is a whole topic in and of itself, but on a food cost basic level, you have to portion out and then know what each menu food cost item costs. Truly what it costs. Now, if you haven't costed out your menu before, start with the biggest selling items and build it from there. This might require building out a prep item. So for example, meatballs, you would have to then measure out the meatball mix, and that is one thing that you cost out. And then individual meatballs, along with, let's say, the marinara, is then the food cost of the actual menu item. So you have the bulk item cost and then the menu item cost. So therefore you could then price it out correctly. When you price it out, you are going to price it out based upon 3 factors. The first one, the food cost, obviously, but so many don't know this or do it. If you want 20% food cost, or hopefully to get to 20% food cost, and you know this meatball appetizer costs $2 to make, you should therefore charge 10. But if you see that blank place is charging $11.95, you now know there's a comparative, so you can go a little bit above that, right? Now here's where you really make revenue. What if you do this meatball appetizer with swagoo, sizzle, panache? Now you can get, because it lights on fire and says your name, or you present it in some manner where, oh my God, bringing that experience to it makes it not a commodity, it makes it an experience. And now you can get $12.95, $13.95, $15 when you make it like that. That then influences making the best item possible with the best possible food cost, as opposed to probably what you don't want to do, which is shrinkflation. Now, if you're like, hey, food cost is insane right now, people hate spending a lot of money. They do for things that they could just get anywhere. If you give them something they could not get anywhere else, that's an experience. And people have never been more hungry for experience. Provide that, and revenue and food cost decrease will follow. How do you do that? Find your signature item. What is the thing that if I'm at your place, I gotta have? Because it can't be, oh, everything's great. Screw you. No, it's not. What is, oh my God, I would want you to eat this if you were about to die, because it's that damn good. It's unique, it's special, everyone loves it, and it represents us well, plus the food cost on it is impeccable. In your menu, this is a 3-page menu, that item needs to be in a box way up here, so the mind goes, oh, where's that? Then the mind is gonna look left at your apps and then kind of go around here. In a box right there, holy, what do you got? In a box? That item's in a box. It better be pretty damn good. That's where you make your money. It ain't when that awesome item is like kind of here written, enjoy our signature item, blah, 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 blah. And it's just in with the muck of everything else. You ain't gonna do that. You're gonna say, hey, this represents us well. It's awesome. It's great on food cost. Buy this. Top right, in a box. You do that, you're going to fix your food costs, you're going to push your signature item, and you're going to tell the customer this is the all killer, no filler item. And to reiterate that point, even though you might have other stuff here, it all needs to be dope. It all needs to be profitable. Just because you can make something does not mean you should. A restaurant with an abundance of options is not impressive. No one wants that. What they want is to know everything I order here is going to be great. I can turn my brain off. I don't have to be like, hold on, why is there trout at this diner? No one wants diner trout. And the one person that orders it is going to hate it and then hate you and be like, that place is garbage. So today, to fix this, if your menu is large and not in charge, I want you to go section by section. So your apps, if you have, let's say 8 apps, I want you to take any app that's not selling over 10 to 15% and remove it. Get it down to 3 to 4 for every item, so that everything is taking up a large portion of that section and you're removing the excess. The only caveat here is if it's on the menu because, let's say it's gluten-free or a vegan item that brings in other people, like, hey, do they have vegan options? Then you might want to keep it. But aside from that, delete the low-moving items, which means you have to use a P-mix report or a product mix report. Your point of sale will have that. So again, you can kind of see that there. A P-mix. The number 5 thing you have to do is smart ordering. Now, to order smart, you have to first know what you got on your shelves. That means you FIFO, and you FIFO efficiently. You should be able to look up on a wall and see exactly what you have left. If you have buttermilk and there's some here, some back there, a box behind the beers, you're not FIFOing correctly. Have it obvious. And let's say it's a box of paper towels. Well, if it's upright, you can't tell. You might think, oh, I got a full case. You don't. There's only one left. Flip that upright, see that there's only one left, so you know I need to order this amount to therefore have it on site so I don't have to go to the grocery store and buy it, because you should have enough to get through a crazy week of any item that cannot go bad. For items that will go bad or could go bad, here's where it gets a little harder. If you just come off crazy week, you might be thinking, I got another crazy week. This is where you have to go back to past comparables to then inform your projection. Coming off the crazy week of Christmas, but then going into the dead zone of the new year, you have to know we're going from a hectic week to a low week, and therefore we should adjust our projected revenue to therefore adjust our projected purchasing. When you therefore say, hey, I need to go low on this now, that's going to help. That's real cash because you're actually going to spend it. Having that tied to the FIFO, so you smart order with your PARs, is how you keep the game rolling. And then you can look at a 3-week average to see your food costs and if you're doing this correctly. Now, with all that said, that leads into tip number 6 and our last one, the waste log. The waste log is what's going to tell you what actually went sideways. You have to write down on a piece of paper, you, your staff, anyone, this one sheet or one for every section of your kitchen. Anytime something got dropped, burnt, disposed of, anything. If it wasn't product that was made and sold for money, goes on the waste log. You can even put comped orders, donation items, all on the waste log. So at the end of the week, if you projected for 20% food cost, you sold for 20% food cost, and you're like, why are we at 28? You could therefore look and say, well, we did this and this and this and this and burnt this, and who did it and when. Now, this isn't something that will work if you immediately admonish the people that write. Why are you writing on the waste log? What'd you do? You're gonna train them to not write on it. You have to be like, good job writing on it. Good job, we'll talk about it later. Good stuff, good stuff. You have to reinforce positively use of the waste log to then get it so that you could utilize this tool. You could then digitally input this to see trends. If you don't use a waste log, you are just guessing why things went sideways. You don't know. So when you have a waste log connected to your ordering on a smart level, you now can make moves that will influence true food cost savings. With all that said, at no point in time did I say, give crappier food, buy whatever's cheapest, or just shrinkflate your menu down. I didn't say that. These are ways that you increase the purchase pride, decrease purchase anxiety, and make your kitchen and restaurant and menu significantly more efficient. You can do this. It is absolutely doable because we've done it. And if you want to do that yourself, again, book your restaurant review call. Let's deep dive on what you got going on along this and all aspects of running a restaurant, because that's what I do, run restaurants and help people like you. There's a video here, check this out, how we keep the restaurant as efficient as possible in the kitchen. I think you'll dig it, and I'll see you next time.